December 14th, 1994. Santa Fe train PBHLA1-10, or Santa Fe 576 West, had just arrived at Barstow, California for its final crew change. The train originated from Birmingham, Alabama. Its destination, Los Angeles, California. The trip between Birmingham and Barstow went off uneventfully. Leading the train was a rather new locomotive, which its kind was introduced to the GE family in the late 1980s, Santa Fe B40-AW number 576, which at the time was only 2 years old. Behind 576 were GP60M144, F45 5976, and F45 96. So yeah, I guess this is actually the correct lineup according to a source who reached out to me on X. But what you guys think? Is this actually the correct lineup? Let me know in the comments. On board were an engineer and a conductor. Both were well rested, including the engineer who had recently got back from his vacation. Further up the line was Union Pacific Coal Train CUWLA-10, or 9450 West. .9450 West had just made safely down the Cajon Pass and was now coming to a stop at milestone 61.55 to wait on two trains, a westbound Amtrak and Santa Fe 576 West, before 9450 West can continue on westbound. The train consists of 3 engines on the head end and 2 on the back. Leading the coal train was C41-AW number 9450 leading. According to a YouTuber, the other 2 locomotives were presumed to be 2 CNW locomotives, C44-9W number 8608 and C40-8 8519. The 2 engines in the back were UPSC40-2s 3341 and 3354. In the cabin 9450 were a crew of 3, an engineer, a student engineer, and a conductor, while the helper crew consists of an engineer and a conductor. As UP coal train raced ahead west, all 5 crew members from the head end and on the helpers had no idea of what's about to happen. After waiting on the Amtrak further down the line, the westbound Santa Fe train continues on westbound. The next few miles were uneventful, and soon after, Santa Fe 576 West is now making its way towards to the top of the grade. That also went off uneventfully. However, the engineer and the conductor of Santa Fe 576 West had absolutely no idea that somewhere near the middle of the train, something unexpected was about to happen, but we'll get to that shortly. As the train begins its descent down the grade, the engineer begins to apply some brakes to start slowing the train down. Strangely though, the engineer and conductor noticed that the train was not slowing down. The engineer then begins to apply some more brakes. No response. He tried again. No response. In their last effort to get the train to slow down or at least get it to stop, the engineer immediately applied the emergency brakes, but to their horror, Santa Fe 576 West was now speeding down the grade. The train was now a runaway. And just like that, it was off to the races. With every moment, the train was gaining more and more speed, and almost immediately the engineer contacts the dispatcher to tell him that the train was in emergency.
We're in emergency. We're not slowing down. Come in, dispatcher.
Santa Fe Cajon dispatcher, over.
Yeah, we're
Santa Fe Cajon dispatcher, over.
Can you move that UP train at Cajon? Yeah, you're following the Amtrak right down the hill, over? Well, we are in emergency and the rear end's not going in the big hole. Is this the coal train, over? No, this is the train behind the coal train. Is this the Santa Fe 576 West? The 576 West.
What is your speed now, over? Santa Fe 576 West, what is your speed now, over?
576 to the Cajon sub, over.
He then contacts the UP helpers to get off their train immediately.
Come in, UP helpers. Come in, UP helpers. Santa Fe Cajon dispatcher to Santa Fe 576 West, over. UP helpers, get off your train. Helpers, get off your train. We've got a train coming your way. Santa Fe Cajon dispatcher to Santa Fe 576 West, over. 576 West. Are you the one that's in emergency, over? Yes, we are. What is your speed now, over? 40, 50.
Dispatcher, why don't you let that UP that is at Cajon flag by that red signal at Cajon westbound? UP coal train 9450, over.
We're coming on now. Let us get some speed. Let's go.
At this point, the head UP engineer had two choices. He could either be on the move right now and try to get out of the way as far as possible, or use the back of the train like a shield to stop the runaway. He decided to go with the second option. It was clear they would not have time to get out of the way, so he immediately contacted the helpers to get off the power immediately.
Hello, helper. Come in with power. Get to going. Coal train. Get off those engines now. Let's go.
Coal train helpers, get off the power. Get off the power. Coal train is in emergency. At Cajon.
UP coal helpers, do you acknowledge that, over? UP coal train to the dispatcher, over. Yes, I have instructed the helpers to get off the power. We are getting off also. Is your train stopped? Yes, sir. They told us to get off the power before it was too late. Alright, are you stopped and you're abandoning the train? Is that correct? Yes, sir. I don't have any choice. The helpers are already off the train, over. Alright.
2 other trains around the area heard the dire situation and immediately brought their trains to a stop.
Cajon UP 3492 East, over. We'll stop at the hotbox detector. Alright, thank you, over. Santa Fe 877 to Cajon sub. Cajon sub. We'll stop here at Summit. We will wait for your instructions on the south track, over. Okay, 877, thank you, over.
And that was the last transmission before disaster. The 2 trains collided at 5:12 a.m. The collision completely destroyed the B40-ACW when it collided head-on into 3341, thus causing the engine to be obliterated during the impact. The opposite of what happened to Conrail 5045 a few years before at Chase, Maryland. The long hood 144 was completely sheared off, with its left side badly burned. 5976 meanwhile was badly torched. It was melting away during the fire like ice in the sun. The front and the middle of 96 suffered both fire and massive collision damage. The UPSC 40s meanwhile also suffered both fire and collision damage, and they were both buried in the dirt. Multiple cars from both trains also zigzagged going off the tracks. The UP helper crew survived uninjured. The Santa Fe crew also survived, so be it, with minor injuries. The Santa Fe conductor was found by the UP helper crew, while the Santa Fe engineer was found by the paramedics, and they were both immediately rushed to a hospital, and they were both lucky to still be alive. Firefighters wasted no time putting out the fire, and the fire was brought under control a few hours later. But one question still remains. Why did the Santa Fe run away down the grade? Was it the same reason what happened to the 1989 Cajon Pass Runaway? The National Transportation Safety Board soon launches an investigation after the crash, with multiple factors soon ruled out. Was it human error? Not relevant. Was the train extremely heavy? Not relevant. Mechanical failure on all the engines? Not relevant. Was there a hidden design flaw in the B40? They are still fairly new at the time, but not relevant. Investigators found nothing wrong with the B40s. They were all kept in good condition under the ownership of Santa Fe and GE. The NTSB then turned their attentions to the cars, and what they found was interesting. Car number 5, car number 6, and car number 7 all had soft brake application. Car number 9 had some brake issues that didn't respond. Car number 12, car number 13, and car number 14 all had limited braking power, and one of their hoses had a leak. cars 16 through 22 also had limited braking power that didn't respond. And finally, car number 23 through 29 did not respond at all. So the NTSB revealed that the probable cause, a blockage or a kink occurred somewhere near the middle of the train, disabling the train's brakes. Although all 4 Santa Fe engines still had their emergency brakes on, 576 West was clearly doomed the moment it went down the grade. Now, although the NTSB didn't say much about the head UP engineer, nor his actions that early morning, I personally want to say that his actions that early morning contributed to the safe outcomes in this accident. In the end, all 4 Santa Fe engines and the 2 SC40-2s were all damaged beyond repair and scrapped, along with some of the coal cars and the intermodal cars that were damaged in the crash. 576 and 96 became the first of their kind to be scrapped after the wreck. 144 and 5976 became the second of their kind to be scrapped after the wreck. The head and UP power meanwhile were all unharmed and were quickly put back into service. 9450 remained in service for the UP until it was retired, sold to GCX, last spotted in 2019, and it is stored in Erie, Pennsylvania as of 2023. 8608 remained in service for the CNW until it was sold to UP, renumbered to 9672, last spotted in 2015, and its current whereabouts are unknown today. As for 8519, it remained in service for the CNW until it was retired, sold to UP, GCX, and finally Canadian National. And sadly, in 2021, the locomotive was soon scrapped. 30 years had gone by since that disaster occurred. But despite this, just 2 years after this one, disaster struck again. But that's another story.